What is up, Edison duelists? This is Dionysus, aka Young Puds, coming at you guys with some more shameless hype beast gigavise content. Before we jump into today's video, two quick points of business. The first, I am seeing a lot of requests. Here are two of them asking if there is a gigavise Discord. While I will say that the edisonformat.com Discord Gigavise channel has been the premier spot for discussion, I did go ahead and make a new Discord for Gigavise discussion for this channel, for this community. So go ahead and follow that link that I'm going to put in the description to join that community if you're interested. Second point of business, please do subscribe if you haven't already. It is huge and it really does help the channel a lot. If nothing else, then my brain has been permanently broken by years of World of Warcraft addiction, meaning that I only get hits of dopamine when I see number go up. So do your part and help number go up by subscribing to the channel. Thank you guys so much. Let's get into the content that we are all concerned about today. So we are talking about huge mistakes, big mistakes that you should never make in Edison format. The first mistake is pretty clear. It's pretty straightforward. It's playing hero beat. This deck sucks. Don't play hero beat. That is a huge mistake, and you will win so many games if you just stop making that mistake. The other mistake is a little bit more subtle, and it is going to come up, and we'll take a look at it. But for now, let's take a look at how we start off with this very powerful opening hand. I do have another dandelion, so what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to use the lone fire I summoned, tribute that dandelion, summoning Gigaplant, and then I get 2 more tokens. So then I can also use that second super solar nutrient to get a lone fire blossom. That lone fire blossom tributes itself, goes into copy plant copies Giga, and then with one of the tokens make a power tool dragon. We're going to go ahead and pull out a supervise from our deck, equip it to the Gigaplant, and then summon out a lone fire and summon out a titanial off the last token. So we're passing with a dust shoot, which is going to be excellent protection, and then we have 2 lone fire blossoms threatening further extension in the future, and then we also just have a Gigavise up with a titanial with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 counting herself, negates, and then another power tool dragon. So this is a really strong position. We're going to dust shoot, we're going to find a Thunder King to put back, and then now we see all 4 of these traps. The torrential could be a problem, but because we know it's there, we're going to be able to play around it. Our opponent is going to go ahead and summon an alias and swing in, but I am not particularly concerned, especially when he sets all 4 traps. Now we know exactly what they are because we saw. Here, our opponent is going to go ahead and fire the Dust Tornado on Supervise. I suppose we could have negated that, but, you know, I'll be honest, folks, I just don't care. I just don't care. I feel like I'm in such a strong position. We can get another Supervise off the Power Tool Dragon anyways. Here, we're not going to summon anything. We're not going to commit anything to the board because that would let us be playing into Torrential. We're just going to swing in for big damage. We will equip Gigaplant with Supervise and we will pass. Our opponent's going to pick up a Miracle Fusion. That is no help. So he's going to go ahead and fire that Legacy of Yatagarasu to get an Honest, which he will normal summon to activate Torrential Tribute, clearing almost all of our board. Supervise is going to bring back Gigaplant. He will have the bottomless for that. And fortunately for us, Elemental Hero, the Shining, is not an Edison legal card, and we have a DDR in our hand. So we can just very simply DDR, summon Gigaplant, and that is going to be it for game 1. Going into game 2, we've sided in our decrees. We've put in an MST, some lightning vortexes, some Book of Moons as well, and we open a fantastic hand, which has none of our side cards, but does have Trunade, Foolish, Hidden Armory, Fertilizer, which is basically enough for game, or at least getting us to a very commanding position. Here, our opponent is going to go ahead and fire Thunder King, which is unfortunate for us. Now we can't use Hidden Armory, but what we can do is Upstart Goblin to find a Supervise, which is just as good. We're going to go ahead and Foolish Burial the Lone Fire, and then use Miracle Fertilizer to bring back the Lone Fire. We'll use giant trunade so we can have more gas with fertilizer in the future. I'm anticipating I'm going to have to make a synchro monster, right? Let it get negated, and then we can go ahead and keep playing. So we're going to do just that. We're going to go Lone Fire into Gigaplant, and our opponent tries to use Thunder King there, and we explain that, you know, Thunder King is actually, you can only use it to negate inherent summons. So card effects that special summon, like Gigaplant, like Lone Fire, cannot be negated by T-King. So we're going to get to continue to play, especially once I see that my opponent has gone ahead and tried to use Thunder King incorrectly. I get a little wicked grin, I get an evil idea, and I decide that I am to execute a hard punish in this case, and I'm going to go ahead and make a Brute Drago because I fully expect my opponent to negate it, which of course he is going to do because he's so excited that he can negate something. And this is the second huge mistake. Remember, folks, mistake number 1, playing Hero Beat to begin with. Mistake number 2, don't negate a Brute Drago. It gets its effect whenever it is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, and that includes being negated by Thunder King. So another interesting interaction here is obviously Supervise is going to activate. However, Brute Drago is going to activate at the same time as Supervise. So it gets negated, the summon gets negated and destroyed before the Supervise can activate. So when Supervise tries to activate, Brute Drago is going to activate on the same chain link. Supervise is a mandatory effect, so it's always going to be chain link 1, and Brute Drago is going to be an optional effect, so it'll go on the chain as chain link 2. This means that they can both target the same monster. Brute Drago is going to summon the Gigaplant out first, so the Gigaplant will summon and have its effect, which is very, very good for us, obviously. And then Supervise will resolve without effect. This is another point. I don't know if you know this. Maybe you have a judge friend who's told you this, but you never say fizzle. Yu-Gi-Oh cards don't fizzle. That's not something that happens. That's not a real term. The correct term is resolve without effect. You probably knew that already, but just thought I'd point it out in case you didn't. Anyways, folks, we are in a fantastic position here with our free Gigaplant, so we're going to summon a second Gigaplant. Go ahead and pick up a Supervise, equip that Supervise to Gigaplant, go ahead and summon out Lone Fire Blossom for Copy Plant. We'll go ahead and make a Power Tool Dragon here. Let's see if we can, in fact, pick up another Supervise off of that. That would be really fantastic for us. Let's see, what do you think, folks? Vote now on your phones. Does 66% round up to 100%? Of course it does. It does every time. So we'll go ahead and equip that to the Gigaplant and then go ahead and bring back Lone Fire. And we would go into a Titanial, but our opponent has already scooped. So, interesting, fun little interaction. It doesn't happen all the time that Brute Drago gets negated. I think there's an MBT video that highlights that interaction. So everyone knows about it for the most part, but sometimes they have no choice but to negate it, and sometimes they don't know. So always fun when that gets to resolve. But I do want to highlight the main mistake that I'm making, that I'm alleging is a mistake, and that's just playing Hero Beat to begin with. So here we have another match against none other than Big James himself. So this duel, this match that we're about to play, will be on the King's time. So we're just going to set Solemn Judgment and then pass. Our opponent is going to go ahead and E-Call, finding Stratos. He's going to normal summon the Stratos. Definitely not something that we care enough about to go ahead and use Solemn Judgment on. We'll take 1800, and then he will pass to us after setting a couple of cards. We're going to pick up a Dandelion, which we will just go ahead and set. That's perfectly fine. We have a pretty good chance of the Dandelion surviving long enough, or at least one token surviving long enough. And then we contribute some of the Gigaplant, Foolish Burial, a Lone Fire Blossom, and go off from there. Judgment is really going to help push that through, and then we can Trunade to, before we would summon the Gigaplant. So he's going to go ahead and Legacy. He'll pick up a Solemn Judgment of his own, normal summon an Alias, and attack on in. This is totally fine by us. I will take, the Dandelion gone, one token gone. All I needed was the one token to tribute summon. He's going to set 3, now backed up by Solemn Judgment, and we're going to get an even better draw, and that's a Super Solo Nutrient. So we're going to be able to preserve our normal summon, and he is going to choose to not judgment the giant Trunade. Could that be a mistake? Well, doesn't really matter because we had our judgment anyways. So, we could have judgmented the judgment. That always feels great. Here we're going to Super Solar Nutrient for Lone Fire Blossom for Gigaplant, and then we will go off from there, equipping the Supervise to Gigaplant, summoning out the Lone Fire Blossom, and then we are going to go ahead and go for a Nettles here, and that is going to bring back the Gigaplant off of Supervise. So we're attributing the Gigaplant, as you guys can clearly see here. We are going for a little Colossal Fighter Armory Arm line. Very, very nice. He does have a 1900 attack monster, and I have decided that he doesn't have Honest. So this just seems like the cleanest way to go ahead and win the game. And in fact, he does not have Honest. So we are going to go into game number 2 against Big James. This is game number 2 on the King's time. And once again, we open fantastic. I'm seeing Lone Fire Blossom. I'm seeing Supervise. I'm seeing Decree. So all we have to do is just get that Decree to stick, and then we can really go off. We even draw a second Supervise. I'm going to set the Dandelion. I think doing something like just set Decree, especially games 2, games 3, that's pretty clear that it's a Decree. So your opponent might, go out of their way to make sure they can remove it. However, a T set like this, I think that's representing a little bit more weakness. So I'm fine with that. He's going to go ahead and attack our Dandelion, and that is going to handle the DD Warrior Lady. Again, totally fine, not at all remotely concerned. We're going to flip up Decree, which is going to stick, and then we are going to be free to go ahead and begin to combo with our Lone Fire Blossom. So we're going to go into a Gigaplant here. I'm seeing this face down monster, which of course, with the benefit of hindsight, we can see is a Snowman Eater. However, it's always a question as to what that is. Gotta think about that. Best guess is it's probably a Fossil Dyna. It could be a Morphing Jar number 2, but like I said, folks, more than likely it's going to be a Fossil Dyna. So all I have to do is make sure that I am ending on a board that includes a Stardust Dragon. And of course, we are going to find our way into that. I am going to Gigaplant for Copy Plant, and then Dandelion is going to be summoned off of the DDR that we've picked up, and then we go ahead and Bryanak here, and then actually use Bryanak, go ahead and bounce the set. That way, even if it is a Morphing Jar number 2, we're playing around that as well. It's a little bit safer, just a little bit safer. And I am feeling very, very safe and secure and cozy, dealing almost game damage. Here our opponent is going to draw again. They are going to pick up a Stratos, and that is a nice draw, but they're just not having quite enough time to get that Neos down. The Snowman Eater is in the hand instead of in the graveyard. Folks, if he had sent it to the graveyard, if we'd made a Stardust Dragon line instead of the Bryanak, then we would actually be in big trouble because of Miracle Fusion. However, we have wisely made the Bryanak instead. So he's going to destroy one of our tokens. I think, honestly, that's a little questionable. I don't think you want to be destroying a token there because, now I can make another Synchro Summon if I want. I could do something like Black Rose Dragon even, just to play it uber safe. But instead, we are just going to pick up a Power Tool Dragon, and we do pick up the Mark of the Rose. And in fact, would you look at that, we are going to go ahead and make a Stardust Dragon with our Power Tool Dragon this time. That is going to protect us against anything like, MST, the Royal Decree, in response to like a Mirror Force or something like that. That could be really good. But he is going to go ahead and scoop after he sees the Fertilizer, just letting us know that, hey, we've got it. So shout out to Big James, GG bro. That was a nice win on the King's time. And now I do have one final match against Hero Beat, just to hammer home that this deck is not the deck that you want to be playing. I would say that it is a mistake to play Hero Beat. Now, this is the Skyscraper version of the deck. Our opponent here is going to start off searching their Skyscraper. They're going to set a Dust Shoot. And hey, nothing feels better than this. When your opponent activates Dust Shoot and you have 6 spells and, you're just completely undeterred. So we're going to go ahead and continue playing. Gold Sark to find Lone Fire Blossom, DDR to summon Lone Fire Blossom, And then we're just going to go lone fire into copy plant here, and then going to mark of the rose, banish the lone fire, take the Stratos, miracle fertilizer back the second lone fire. Copy plant is going to copy lone fire so it can be a 3, and then here we are going to be able to make power tool dragon. Power tool dragon will guaranteed search us a supervise, and then after that we can use lone fire blossom to go ahead and go into Gigaplant, and now we have supervise, and now we are going to have a very, very nice time to tribute the Gigaplant for Titanial, and then supervise brings back the Gigaplant, and that is 8,000 damage. So pretty nifty line. I love these lines where you're using copy plant's effect and a stolen level 4 monster, and you know, you're just emptying your whole hand. Here, you know, when we see that he's searching skyscraper as well, that's telling me that, you know, scores is not really something that we're going to have to be concerned about. So we might as well just go ahead and try and win. He is going to scoop it up, and we are going to go into game number 2. All right, folks. What are we going to draw? Once again, we're opening with Decree, which I'm very happy to see. However, our opponent only has a Dust Tornado, so not sure how much value we're going to extract from the Decree. Meanwhile, Lightning Vortex is fine to see, of course. Gigaplant, I'm always happy to, you know, to see with a Mark of the Rose, provided we have both of them. And then that Upstart Goblin should hopefully should help us find a little bit more gas. And in fact, it does not. Instead, we're getting Titanial, which is pretty unfortunate here. We're just going to set the Decree and pass. Our opponent is going to hold that Dust Tornado. I kind of like that. He doesn't know what this is. He doesn't know it's a Decree. And the Dust Tornado is always going to be chainable, and it's going to be presenting a threat for us right here. So he's going to continue to develop his board. He's going to get a Neos up and then swing in for almost half of our life points. In end phase, after I see that set, we are going to Decree just to shut it down, and then Dust Tornado is going to handle that. Funnily enough, we do pick up another Decree. I'm going to go ahead and Lightning Vortex so I don't immediately die, choosing to discard the Gigaplant. I guess we're thinking that, okay, well, we can get Mark of the Rose to banish it, and then if we find a DDR, that would be pretty strong. Honestly, folks, here, I think you actually want to be discarding the Titanial, because then you have some kind of play where you Mark of the Rose something, tribute it for the Gigaplant. That's probably a little bit stronger. Always good to analyze these replays, find some mistakes, call them out when you see them. I definitely don't play perfectly. I wish I did. Plenty of mistakes, and there's no reason to make excuses for your mistakes. All you can do is just say, hey, you know, I didn't play correctly. Now, here we do get a fantastic top deck, which is going to, you know, completely negate everything I just said. We'll just Miracle Fertilizer to bring back the Gigaplant. There is a bottomless, but of course we do have that second Decree. So we're going to get the Ocean off the field. It is a little bit of a problem because our opponent does have Skyscraper, so that is going to do a very easy job of just clearing our Gigaplant back once again. So now we, however, are never punished, and we draw into the second Gigaplant. So we're just going to go ahead and tribute summon over the Gigaplant and then swing for 2,400. So just for the record, folks, we have drawn Titanial, we have drawn both Gigaplants, and we have drawn a Nettles. We have seen nary a Lone Fire Blossom, nor a Supervise, nor anything like that. So I think, if anything, this is really just showing that, like, Heroes is not it, guys. We are drawing all of our bricks, and we are not even remotely out of this game. In fact, we've just found a DDR, and we are finally moving into a commanding position in this game. We have run through all 3 Neos aliases, run through Stratos, we've run through Oceans. Our opponent really is running monsters. Does he even have any targets left for the Rhoda still in his hand? Perhaps he could just summon a hard summoned Captain Gold, but in fact he is just going to check the rest of his field and see that no, he doesn't have anything else worth drawing into. We are shutting down his Dust Shoot, and his is going to be GG. So folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. I think there were some fun lines that we had in this video. And what can I say? It's always fun bullying the hero players. Shout out to you guys. You know, no hate, all love. but don't play your deck in Edison. I'll tell you what, I think Heroes is a little bit better in redo format. Maybe check out redo format. There's also a really cool deck that you can play. Not so good in hat format, I will, but in you know, I forget what we call the format, but this is the deck that I played at Philly Regionals right after the hands had been released. So the hands had been released, Mathematician, Soul Charge, all those cards were out, but Primal Origin hadn't come out yet. And I played this deck to the top of the Dueling Network ladder back in the day, and it was actually, I called it and this is in very poor taste, and I'm a little ashamed of it, but I call it Hand Job Heroes. And it was basically just hero beat with the hands, but it was really cool because, you know, Fire Hand is a fire and Ice Hand is a water. So those were kind of your gas to make Absolute Zero and Nova Master. So that was a lot of fun. It was definitely an uphill battle against like Mythic Rulers and stuff. But it was winnable, especially post side deck, and I really liked that deck. I had a lot of fun with it. I think I scrubbed out at the regionals, but I did do very well on Dueling Network that weekend with it. I remember watching. I had my two monitors set up. I was watching the ARG on one, and I was playing high Dueling Network ladder with a little silly hand hero deck. Anyways, I've been yapping for too long. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I will see you tomorrow with some more Shameless Hypebeast Gigavice content. Until then, subscribe if you haven't already. Join the Discord. Link will be in the description. That is the Discord, not the discard. And enunciate that. Smash that friggin' like button and drop a comment letting me know what you guys would like to see on the channel next, or just you know, say hello if you made it this far. That would be cool. I always wonder how many people actually watch the entire video. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, this has been Dionysus, aka Young Puds, signing off.